Welcome to this episode of APIS Tech Tips, a series of short explainer excerpts from real APIS training courses. This episode goes through the user equipment security functions in 5G, and it comes from the course 5G Security in an Hour. Enjoy!
Starting with the overview of the UE security functions, what kind of security-related functions are involved in establishing the UE presence in the network and then for the actual communication. We have the 5G network elements here, and then there is the mobile equipment with UICC card or the eSIM-based deployment with the USIM application on it, and the roaming scenario where the border between visited network and the home network will be here. Security in 3GPP network since always was based on some shared secret, long-term key, which is securely stored somewhere in the network databases, HSS, UDM, UDR, that's a few possible deployments here. And in some elementary file in the USIM application, the elementary file which is non-accessible from outside. And all the authentication procedures and generation of the keys, they are based on it. One of the news in 5G is that 5G allows the access to networks for the devices which are without the USIM and without those credentials, and then the security is based on some certificates. But apart from this exception, we still use this since the 2G times with some noticeable improvements, and quite a few of them coming in 5G. Authentication procedure. This arrows below kind of indicate what elements are involved in it. The purpose of this is for the network to verify that if the UE device says that my identity number is such and such, that it's telling the truth. Device, UE, phone, wants to make sure that when I'm talking to the real network, something which has access to my credentials stored in the home network. Verification of the UE identity was since 2G times done by the visited network only. One of the news in 5G is that it's done also additionally in the home network. We'll come back to this soon. Protection of signaling messages, encryption and integrity protection. Again, exists in the 3GPP system since always. From or starting with the 4G, it's independent for the radio level signaling and the core network between the UE and some AMF in 5G, MME in 4G. User data protection for all the data radio bearers. We had encryption since always. Now the news in 5G is also an option to have integrity protection for user data, which funnily enough, in one of those recommendations which were listed on the previous slide, one of them actually suggests that this integrity protection should be switched off over the radio for a good reason, that if there is some application which really requires integrity protected communication, it will most likely have some kind of the end-to-end integrity protection and not just over the air interface. So adding this doesn't really make much sense. Privacy protection. Again, since 2G days, mobile devices were using some temporary identifiers when introducing themselves to the network. The identifiers which are provided by the core network mapped to some permanent identifier and changed regularly to provide this for the identity privacy protection. News in 5G, well, every now and then the devices are forced to send their permanent identity because the temporary one is useless in the new environment. And it was, before 5G, always sent in the unencrypted form, so the IMSI number could go occasionally over the air without any protection. This is fixed in 5G. It will be encrypted when needed.
If you enjoyed this APIS Tech Tip, check out the full APIS course 5G Security in an Hour, where this video came from. There, you will learn about security threats, requirements and recommendations related to the 5G network architecture, and also network features and procedures to combat these threats. check this course out in more detail and all our other training, just visit us on www.apistraining.com